Live from New York. We're good? Okay, I'm going to start over. Good evening, everybody. I'm David Goldstein with Total Community Management. I'd like to welcome you all to the meeting this evening. There are there's 7 different meetings going on here. The first order of business is each one of the condos meetings are being reconvened. That's condo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. The meetings were adjourned on August 24th, and we're reconvening this evening. The purpose of reconvening this evening is to accept the additional proxies that were handed in, give the ballots for all of the proxies. If you're here, you could have also got a ballot. We've now gotten all of the ballots. They're putting them into the boxes in the back, and in a few minutes they'll be ready for us to count them. In order to count them, we need several people to volunteer as inspectors of election. Do we have any volunteers? 1, 2, 3. You can do 4. We have 4 volunteers. So in a few minutes, when Matt says is ready, we'll go into the conference room and we'll count everything up. The other item tonight is that we'll be introducing all of the candidates for all of the various positions running for the HOA Board of Directors and the 7 Condominium Board of Managers. There is, for each one of the condominium associations, there is 1 seat available for election this year, and for each one of those seats, there is 1 candidate. So it makes it very easy. Okay, so we're going to introduce all of the candidates for the condo, as I said, and then we'll introduce the HOA candidates. So just talk amongst yourself for another minute or 2. Wait to see that Matt gets this organized. Then we'll go out and count, and and while they're counting, we'll do the introductions. Okay, if we can have the inspectors of election go into the conference room, the boardroom, and give us a few minutes. We'll be back with the results, and then we'll introduce the candidates. Okay, if we can come back to order, please. Okay, so all the hard work and effort paid off. The amendments for condo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 all passed. And it was so much fun, we're going to try working on it again, just for... Okay. Did my inspectors are back in? Great. And we'd like to thank our inspectors of election. They did a fabulous job as always. Okay. What happened to my list of candidates? What? Oh, you didn't let me finish my sentence. They heard me say it was 6 months free maintenance for helping us count at the next condominium you buy. I left that part out, I'm sorry. Okay, with that, we're going to introduce the candidates. We'll go first for the Board of Managers. The first Board of Manager candidate is Phil Savarisi. Phil, where are you? You want to say anything? No. He can only talk himself out of the position. We're good? All right, thank you, Phil. The next candidate is Ron Totora. I don't think Ron was able to be here this evening, correct? That's what I thought. But everybody knows Ron. He works almost as hard as Phil, but not quite. Okay, next candidate. This is a new person, and we'd like to introduce him for Condo 3, Richard Stein. Where's Richard? Richard, would you like to say a few words? Okay, a man of few words. Okay. Next candidate is Lenny Itzkowitz. Lenny, would you like to say anything to your constituents? Okay. The next candidate is Paul Sorrentino. Paul, where are you? Paul, would you want to say anything? Perfect. The next candidate is Dennis Lenner. Dennis, are you here? That's enough out of you. Nothing? Okay. And the last candidate is Tom Riccbono. Tom? We're good? Okay, those are your condo candidates. The key to the elections, both the condos and the HOA, is that we need to have quorums present in order to hold those meetings, whether it be the condo or the HOA. The proxy ballots will be coming out probably next week for the HOA. We need you to participate and send them back in. If we don't have a quorum for a meeting, what? Okay, if I didn't use the correct wording. The HOA, you'll be getting absentee ballots with the 3 different color envelopes and the sprinkles and all of that good stuff. And we need you to participate and get them back to us. Even though there's only 3 candidates for 3 positions, if we don't have a quorum present, we're going to have to recall the meeting. There's an expense in recalling these meetings. So all you'd be doing is wasting money that's really yours. So please make sure you participate, both in the condos and the HOAs. The first candidate for the HOA in alphabetical order by last name is Jim Hyman.
Okay. 2 minutes and 30 seconds? Yep. All right. Are you going to do 30-second warning? Yep. Okay, very good. For those of you who remember me from the Divas show, getting up there and singing "You Never Bring Me Flowers," please vote for me anyway. All right, my name is Jim Hyman. I'm 70 years old. I'm in good health. My wife and I, Lori, purchased the condo suite at Meadowbrook Point together in November of 2014. I'm currently retired after a 45-plus year in technology, IT, and project management. My Meadowbrook Point info. Currently own a suite building in Building 3 within Condo 1. I've been at Meadowbrook Point almost 8 years. I'm a year-round resident. My long-term goal is to stay at Meadowbrook Point. My wife and I actively use the facilities, including the pool and entertainment offerings at Meadowbrook Point, including that great show we had here Saturday night with the British Mania. I currently participate weekly in the Men's Club discussion group, and I serve as one of the rotating moderators. In terms of having been on the board, as I said, I joined the board I've been a member, I was an appointed member back in July of 2020. I'm currently serving as the corresponding secretary to the board of directors. I create the monthly board meetings, I create monthly To The Point newsletters, and I also create informational notices to the community as needed. I'm serving also as the board of directors liaison, an active contributing member of the Architecture Review Committee, the Maintenance Committee, the board COVID task force, and also I've been actively involved in the HVAC, that's heating and air conditioning, refresh and planning. Other accomplishments were on the board. I helped to create sensible rules to deal with COVID risks from the community. We avoided unnecessary and ineffective equipment purchases to deal with COVID. I contributed to the reserve fund planning for setting reasonable monthly resident fees in 2021 and in the 2022 budgets. I worked to get HVAC units replaced on suite buildings number 19 and number 23, and we're working on getting, and we did actually do this, I wrote this before this happened, we did actually implement 3 more buildings. You saw the crane on site. That was buildings 18, 21, and 22. I worked with the maintenance committee to get natural gas leak detectors installed in all suite buildings. That's actually in the hallways, and that's a work in progress. And we worked to engage the HVAC engineer architect for designing systems for suite building, attic exhaust fans, and the contract was let and the design is underway. We also pushed to get fixed in place electronic meeting equipment for the clubhouse boardroom and the computer room. And I'll be happy when time comes to answer any questions that you have. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Oh, one more parting thing I wanted to say. I was putting a receipt in my wallet earlier today and throwing out a lot of old Meadowbrook receipts that I had, and out fell a fortune cookie fortune. And it said something very telling. It said, management is when you do things right. Leadership is when you pick the right things to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. The next candidate, Lenny Roper.
Lenny, same thing, 3 minutes. I'll give you a 30-second warning.
Good evening, everyone. I've been a resident of Meadowbrook Point since April of 2011, and a couple of months later, I became a building captain, and I have been ever since. I have over 42 years of service with the New York City Police Department. I was appointed commanding officer of many different commands and was promoted up through the rank of inspector. One of my most rewarding assignments was probably my last one. I was the executive officer of all of narcotic division for the entire 5 boroughs of the city of New York. Had over 1,300 officers and detectives working for me in 11 different commands with undercover officers. Back to Meadowbrook Point, I was elected as manager of Condo 5 in 2014, and then elected as president of Condo 5 in 2016. In 2017, I was appointed as the director of the HOA, but at that time, it was 3 resident directors. In October of that same year, I was elected as a director of the HOA for 3 years. I've been a member of the Safety and Security Committee since 2013 and became a co-chairman of that committee until 2017. until the present time, rather. We hired a new security company, Security USA, which has been doing a much better job than the prior company. Even though I was not a director for the past 2 years, I stayed fully involved as the co-chairman of Security and Safety Committee. I will tell you that many residents have called me up with questions and concerns because they know that I would investigate them properly. Regarding transparency, I do have some good ideas on how we can improve that issue. If there are any questions about it later, I'll talk on that, but I would expand the use of to the point. I think that's a good way to go, and we could put more subject matter in there. Basically, know what the residents want. They want to know what's going on. We had better cameras installed to increase our safety and security, both at the main gate and the auxiliary gate. And as a board member of the Civic Association, another hat I wear, we helped issue the 2019, 20, and 21, and 22 cards at no cost to our members. I'm always looking at how we can keep our residents safe beyond the walls of Meadowbrook Point. I'm always looking out that way. I'll give you one example. Across the street here in the AMC movie parking lot, a couple of months ago, there was a guy parked there with a vehicle and a trailer attached. He made a mess of the place. He had garbage all over the place, clothes strewn about. And I spoke to him. I just pulled up there in my vehicle and talked to him. He said he'd be out of there in a couple of days. Well, he wasn't. I went back a week later, and what do I find? He's got an 8-year-old boy in the back of that trailer. So I notified the precinct the next day. The officers came by, and the whole problem was resolved. They notified child welfare. Bottom line is I respectfully request your support and vote in the upcoming election. I really do care about our community very much, and will continue to work hard for all our residents. Thank you.
The final candidate this evening is Arnie Scher. Unfortunately, due to health issues, Arnie was not able to be here this evening, but he is looking forward to your support. With that, we'll open the floor to questions. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
Could you tell us what your position is regarding releasing the minutes of each board meeting and advising how each member votes?
Who's that question for?
Both of them.
You can just direct it to one of them.
Oh, Lenny Rowe.
Okay. I go back to the time when I was on the board, and we used to release the minutes back then. However, our attorneys had told us at that time it wasn't good to do, and so we were forced to stop it. And to the point, kind of, if you ask me honestly, the information you're getting and to the point is better than what we used to produce in the way of the minutes. Honest to God. Did you want to answer?
So I'd love to give out minutes, especially since I write them lately. But unfortunately, and also in those minutes, if we do have any split votes, we log that into the minutes. The minutes are available at the front desk. You can see them. But unfortunately, as Lenny mentioned, our legal counsel has advised us not to distribute minutes. Evidently, people in Florida are lawsuit happy, so unlike New York. And they've advised us not to do that for various reasons. So unfortunately, that's kind of what the situation is right now, is I'd love to do it, but unfortunately, on the advice of counsel, we can't do it.
Bob McDermott, 448 Pacing Way. And Jim, the minutes are available for us to look at the front desk. If we're able to look at them at the front desk, why can't they be distributed to all the residents? You're allowed to look at them. You can't copy them or do anything else. It'd be very simple. If you can look at them there, we should be able to get a copy out to everybody, email it to everybody.
Again, I'll repeat what I said before. Unfortunately, this is what legal counsel has advised us to do. to not routinely distribute minutes to the entire community.
Hi, Barbara Weisberg, Roosevelt Way. Can we ask the lawyers why they won't allow us to get copies of the minutes? I mean, you're telling us that they said on advice of counsel, we can't. But we can ask. I mean, we're paying the salary, aren't we? Why shouldn't we be able to see what's going on? There are certain things that I understand we can't see, but then those things can be blocked out. I don't expect to hear personal items in there, but I think that we do have to have some kind of transparency, which we're not getting right now.
Who's the question?
Oh, that was my question, is why can't we ask the lawyer to come back and speak to us?
We could ask them, but and one of the things you don't want to do is put words in a lawyer's mouth. But one of the things they'll tell us is because that people will take what the minutes say and they'll use that to put together a lawsuit about either something you said you're going to do and you didn't do, or something you did that they don't like. It will become the basis of a lawsuit. Now, as far as being able to peek at them, they seem to think that that's okay. But unfortunately, this is the information that we've gotten from our legal representation.
Doesn't make any sense.
Well,
Doesn't make any sense. Maybe we get the wrong law firm.
we've,
Any further questions?
Okay, we do have a couple of questions that came in over the email from people that are participating remotely. The first question is from Isabel Bellman, and her question is, will you please ask all the candidates where they stand on renovating the clubhouse? Do they favor an assessment, question mark? Do they think it should be done consecutively, one floor at a time, back to back? Do they feel it should be done with taste and style, regardless of cost, within reason? Who wants to go first?
Go out in the street and find somebody to answer that.
so which of the 7 parts should I take
Okay,
first?
first part is where they stand on ready. Do they favor an assessment? Why don't we do it in parts? Do you favor an assessment if necessary for renovating the clubhouse?
I think this is the problem, and this is a problem that we've gotten into a little bit with the decorating committee. They're putting the cart before the horse. Before we decide whether or not we need to do an assessment, we need to know what our final numbers are and what we're going to do as far as the work that has to be done. Once we figure out the amount of money needed, then between the board and the Finance and Budget Committee, we could work up how are we paying for it. If we decide that the best way to do this is through a short-term assessment, we might go down that route. At face value, I'm not generally in favor of assessments, but if you can give me a convincing case as to why, in this case, we should do it this way, then I'd be willing to support it. But rather than put the cart before the horse, I think we need to have the numbers in front of us before we turn around and say, oh, we need an assessment. That's how we're going to do this. We need to see whether or not we have sufficient monies in our current funds to pay for most of it, some of it, all of it, and then after that, we can decide whether or not the rest should be covered by an assessment.
Okay, do you think it should be done consecutively, one floor at a time, or back to back? Do you think it should be done one floor at a time?
Hold on. You want?
No, it's okay on that. We'll go to the next one.
Okay, so the next part of the question was, do they think it should be done consecutively, one floor at a time or back to back? I guess, do the third floor.
Let me put words in the questioner's mouth. I think what they're asking is, do we do a big bang and do everything, or do we do it piecemeal? And honestly, if you do a big bang, then you're going to make a big chunk of the clubhouse unavailable for usage. It's almost like you put a close sign up, and then there's parts of the clubhouse you just can't get to. In terms of whether we do it big bang or piecemeal, I think what we need to do is see what the plan is and decide which way the plan is going to go. Are we going to do it all at once? Are we going to do it painting on this floor, painting on that floor at the same time, or are we going to break things up? I defer to what the committee comes up with as far as what the go-forward plan is. I'm not going to second guess how you do a redecorating job. I think we need to do that in concert between what the board wants us to do and what the committee recommends we do. Then we can make that decision.
Yeah, I would want to hear what the committee has to say, and then the board is going to discuss this. So it makes sense.
The last part is, do they feel it should be done with taste? I didn't finish this question yet.
No, discussing what he just talked about, as far as one floor, two floors, all at once, one at a time.
I'm not following. You both spoke to that issue, correct? They feel they've spoke to that issue.
And we can't comment?
You know what? Shh. Don't yell at me. Not necessary. But you can comment, yes. You can comment if you'd like, sure.
All right. Wouldn't it be advisable to find out, if you're going to do it all at one time, how long we would close the building down to get it all done, as opposed to closing piece and piece, and how long that's going to take? Wouldn't all of that come into play? You can't answer the question without knowing the, just like you said before.
We need to get input from the committee and see what the plan is. Shutting the whole place down and doing everything all at once might make for the fastest time period to get it done, but it might make chunks of the clubhouse unavailable for an extended period of time. I think the board and the committee need to work out what the approach is going to be, whether it's all at once or piecemeal.
Okay, the last part of that question. More?
Go ahead.
Good thing it's only 8.5 by 11. Do they feel it should be done with taste and style, regardless of the cost, within reason? Okay, no comment?
Where is it? I got it. So obviously it's a loaded question. You know, should we do it with taste? Oh, gee, no? No. I don't think that's the way this works. I think the decorating committee already has identified a number of things that are going to be part of the redesign and the redecorating. They haven't publicized it yet to residents because there's still some loose ends that are being pinned down with the actual details and the costs of those details. Once we get closer to that, I think they should be able to make available to residents at least some idea of what it is that we're planning to do. Now, if I heard correctly, the second part of that question was about regardless of expense?
It's,
Within reason.
do they feel it should be done with taste and style, regardless of the cost, and then in parentheses, within reason?
Regardless of the cost, absolutely not. It's your money. You know, if somebody came up and decided they're going to redesign the Taj Mahal here and it's going to cost us $5 million, you'd run the board out on a rail. That ain't going to happen. All along in our discussions between the board and the decorating committee, we've asked for a reasonable approach. And there's certainly things that at one time were proposed that the board rejected as too expensive. So yes, we want something with taste and class, but unlimited budget, no, that's not a reality. No company I ever worked for had an unlimited budget for any project, and Meadowbrook Point, I think, is no exception. And the board would deserve to be fired if you just let us willy-nilly just spend your money without thinking about it. So that ain't gonna happen on my watch.
Listen, we have some talented people on that committee. I know most of them. Let's wait and see what they come up with.
No, that's the end of that question.
Say what?
Form of a question.
Form of a question, okay. I can't do it in the form of a question because I'm so angry right now listening to what you have to say. Because we have been working on this for a very, very long time. We have tried on numerous times to get in touch with you, the board, and tell what's been going on. You never paid attention to us. We finally put it out there at the last meeting, and then all of a sudden you paid attention to us. You were not there, Lenny. We also met with the board. We explained to them everything, what it would cost. We explained to them, if we don't start moving on this right now, the prices are going up. We have been pushing you the past couple of weeks because we have been given a deadline that as of the end of this month, or actually October 15th, everything is going up, all right? We have, I'm so upset with you guys right now because when you said the cart before the horse has been out there, all right, but you're not listening to us. And I'm just very upset with everything that's been going on with what you're saying. And I wish Alice was here, and David, why don't you come up and say something about this also? Yes, I do.
I'm on the decorating committee with 4 lovely women that live here, two designers, and 2 people that have got background in color. It's been an adventure for me, needless to say. We're hearing 2 different stories, at least I am. We're hearing the story that was just presented here about the money, and we got a little bit about what's going on from the side of the committee. In my estimation, the committee was put together to come forward and give the committee was put together to come forward and give you suggestions, to give the board information on how to proceed with the renovation. I have 40 years' experience in construction and office interiors. This is just a renovation. It's not a design. We're changing carpet, we're changing paint, we're changing carpet in the suite buildings wall covering. My illustrious committee members, the other day I met with them, they went out and they did the right thing. We don't need to hire a designer to put carpet and wall covering in suite buildings. We have designers right here. We just have to be able to find a way to buy it at the best cost. That's my experience. My committee went out and priced carpeting, wall covering, everything for the suite building, came in with a number. Somebody that I suggested, who is not their favorite, is $15,000 less. And the reason is are we doing wallpaper? Are we not doing wallpaper? We don't know what we're doing. Nothing has been finalized. This is ridiculous. Once the board has all the numbers, I'm sure that they will sit. I've met several board members. I haven't met everybody. Pleasure meeting you, Jim. I know Lenny. I know the gentleman down there, the president. Let it go and work its way out. It is going to be beautiful. I've seen the colors. I'm not a color person. I'm a technical person. I'm a money person. I don't even get involved in the colors. But the colors that have been selected are absolutely beautiful. It's just a matter of finding out how to buy it at the right price. And I will say one more thing, which is probably upsetting to my committee members. Prices are not going up October 15th. I've checked this out with my vendors, and they are not aware of any price increases. What happens is you get a vendor out there who's pushing you to make the order and says to you, prices are going up October 15th, and you believe it. Not happening, not happening. Everything's under control. Let the board do their thing, and I promise you everybody will walk away happy. Thank you.
Hi, just one other question for the board members. Rich Stein. Okay. My understanding, I thought I read in the director's corner, that a certain amount of money, let's say like $1 million or thereabouts, has been set aside in this year's budget towards the renovation. So when we talk about assessments, if I'm correct on that, and I believe I read it, if we talk about assessments, that would be over the budgeted amount that's in this year's budget, would it not? Okay, that's all I wanted everybody to know. So if there's $1 million set aside in the budget, and the bids, after everybody works on it, and it all comes in, and it comes in at $1.2 million, if that's a number, then it would be $200,000 that would have to be discussed whether or not a special assessment or some other methodology of funding the differential. So I would like everybody to understand that we're already paying for part of the, or a decent amount of the renovation, because it's in this year's budget that we're paying towards. I just wanted to clarify for everybody. Okay? Thank you.
Phil Savarisi, Condo 1 president. Our buildings, our carpets, the walls are falling apart. It was promised in October of 2020. Go back and check your minutes. Jim, that's the month you started. Check your minutes. It said what would be done into every 37 buildings here. And has it been done? No. That should speak for itself. Nothing's done, and we're still waiting. Carpet in Building 9 is cut up. It's cut up. It's disgusting. Is anything done yet? No. Waiting for an accident. If we had a risk management team in here, they would force you to change that immediately. Should the board move on it? They keep saying, yeah. August, September. This is 2022 already. I got photos going back 10 years already. So I'm waiting for it. And that goes to each member on the board. They have to make up their mind what they're doing. And David said that they didn't know what they were doing, wallpaper or not. Go back and read October of 2020. In there, it spells out exactly what they were doing to 36 more buildings. They did it to one. They said they would do it to 36 others. Thank you.
So it's actually worse than that, Phil. The month I started on the board was July of 2020, and the very first discussion I sat in on when Bob Groman was president at the time was a big discussion about renovating buildings and what we would do going forward from there. I totally agree with you that I find this ridiculous that we can't seem to get off the dime and get started. At this point, we seem to know what we want in terms of material. We seem to know what the suite building is going to cost. What we really need to do is pull the trigger and put out bids to start ordering the pieces of what's going to be put in. Bids, not quotes, bids. There's a difference. You need quotes that you can put a purchase order to. That's the part that the committee doesn't seem to get. Going out and telling people, what do you think this is going to cost? Well, you know, it's going to cost $300,000 for paint. No, you need something that you can put a purchase order to and buy something. Not, this is my idea of what we're going to buy or do for you. We need things that we can put orders to, and we should be at that point very, very soon and there's no excuse, Phil, for further delay. I agree with you 100%.
So we went to 5 different carpet people.
Hang on.
We went to 4 different wallpaper people, and we got the bids on that. We told you what they were. The problem that we have is with the painters and the wallpaper hangers. Otherwise, we're ready to buy all the stuff. Everything is ready. Except for the painters. We have a price on the painters. We were going with that. We had a price on the wallpaper person. We were going with that. They came up with a ridiculous price for the 2 things. We finally found somebody who would do both together. Hopefully, they have a good reputation, and that's what we're working on right now. We're trying to get a little better price from them if we possibly can, because they'll be doing 3 buildings at a time. But we really, by the way, David, thank you for throwing us under the bus. All right, thank you. Because you want who you want.
Calm down. Calm down.
All right? No, he wanted who he wanted, and we said no.
Not the.
No, if everybody was here, no, come on.
How bad I am.
No, you threw us under the bus.
Can we come to order, please?
All right, the bottom line is, we're ready, and we've talked to you, we've told you guys exactly.
Not ready.
We are.
No, you just told us how you're not ready.
We have, we finally picked the people who were
You
supposed.
don't have the final numbers for painting.
Yes, we do.
I can't
We
tell
We
Irene.
sent it to you.
I can't tell Irene to cut orders tomorrow.
I don't
Can
know
I?
about that. I don't know.
Can I tell her to do that?
Yes, you can, because we sent it.
And that's been the problem. We're close, we're almost there, we're not quite there. Oh,
Look,
now
we're not
there's-
talking
Now there's
about
an issue with paint. We need to get to the point where we can place orders. There's an expression in the technology world, it's time to shoot the engineer and ship. Because engineers are notorious for tinkering, trying to get everything just so perfect
Well, that's what you guys are
before you
doing.
go. But the problem is, we got to get to the point where we can actually place orders.
You're at that point. We gave you that.
With 2 out of 3.
No,
You
we
just
have.
said it.
No, we have the painter. We're just trying to get him down just a little bit because we're saying 3 buildings. That's all. But that's the bottom line. We have everything in place. We've given everything in place to
Okay,
you.
then
And I don't know what to tell
then you should get the go-ahead tomorrow night.
I hope so. Thank you then.
Thank you. Name, question, who it's directed to.
Okay, this is Marty Carfinkel, Building 50. With all this discussion of being ready and not ready and putting it in order and not putting it in order, are we ever going to get a choice somewhere along the line where there have been 3 colors chosen, let's say, for wallpaper or for wall paint, and 3 different patterns choice for carpeting, and we get to maybe vote on one of the 3? Continuity is fine, but can't we have a voice in the choice?
Marty, who's your question for?
Let's, one at a time. He asked the question. Do either of you want to respond to that question? No?
So the answer is the committee has done that work. We're not going to put up a panel of pick one and then have resident voting on they like this wallpaper and that rug. We're not going to do that. That's what the committee has been doing. So that work has already been done.
I'm talking about from 3 choices where you've got.
No, we're not doing that. The committee has already picked these things out. Yeah. They have years. In spite of us bickering back and forth here, I do respect the fact that the committee has years of design experience. I wouldn't let me pick out carpet. My wife wouldn't let me pick out carpet. Wasn't my choice.
My turn, Jim.
Yeah.
Jim, my turn.
Yeah.
That's why Phil Savarisi, Condo 1. That's why we got the girls and the gentlemen to work together on this. They're the professionals. They're residents here also. They want to enjoy their time here. They went out, they did a lot of hard work. They should make that decision. You come in my building with carpet. If you had 2 carpets, you'd have 9 and 9. Now what do? If you have 5 carpets, you'd get 3 and 3. You know, it's 3, 3, 3, 3. They have to make the decision. You have to leave it to them.
Okay, we're going to move on to the next issue. Question came in from Steve Schwartz, Building 54. He directed it towards Lenny. Having served on the board once and now running again for that position, what board actions and policies do you feel need improving, and what would you do to accomplish that?
All right, so I know transparency is obviously a big item here. I actually thought about this in general like a week or 2 ago. And what I would want to do is, and I did this 4 years ago, I would want to have a meeting with a couple of board members and a select group of residents. And I want to pick their brain, find out what problems are on their mind, what do they see, and then what we could do to correct those issues. And I'm hearing from the residents, a selection of residents. And you know, a lot of times, a lot of this that we can do is small ticket items, but it means a lot to the residents here, because I'm tuned in to Director's Corner, etc. So some of the items would cost probably no money, and some would cost very little money, but it means a lot to the residents. And so that's what I would do.
Are there any other questions from the floor?
Tom Bergen. I'm in condominium 3, and I have a technical question, and I'm sure you can answer it. It was announced earlier this evening that in condo 3, running as a candidate for the 3rd position, which is available, is Rich Stein. I think that's an excellent choice, and I know who he is, and I think he'll be a fine addition. Where the technical question comes in is that in order for that to have happened, the door would need to have reopened for people to have presented themselves as candidates for condo 3. And the only question I have is that so, and is that what happened? I'm not going to ask you how you could have done that for the HOA, because you'll be here all night if we discuss that. But I'm happy with Rich Stein. I think he's going to add to this. I'm big on process, so I just want to understand if that technically is what has happened.
I understand your question.
Okay, good.
Okay, so for condo 3, we have 1 seat available with no candidate. So I approached the 2 condo 3 board members, let them know what the problem was. They decided to reopen the nominations. They sent out an email to the entire condo 3 community, and Richard stepped up to the plate. That was the process. Howie? Oh, and by the way, he had to give us a $50,000 donation towards the clubhouse. Thank you very much.
I got about 150 on me. Anyway, Howie Siegel, Condo 4 manager. I'm almost afraid to bring it up again about the attorney, but not a question. Let me just tell you that Condo 4 was the first condominium to be independent of the sponsor. So we had to get an attorney. Just want you to know that the attorney that the HOA uses, as well as the condos, is a condominium specialist. The firm, that's what they do. They've sued many of the...
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? If there's no other questions, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you all.
You okay? Liz Pimmo, VIP. She's in the building right next to you.